Hey everyone, my name is Wes, and welcome back to Terror Talk, where I discuss creepy clips online. Just to set up clear expectations, this is a commentary channel on scary stories and weird stuff. So, if commentaries are a thing, you're in the right place. The original horror music at the end of my videos was composed by me. Now, let's get into it and have some fun.
This happened a couple weeks into the summer. I had just graduated high school, and it was my first and probably last summer without any real responsibilities, career or academic wise. Everyone knows the beginning of the summer is the best time of the year, so it's safe to say that I was living my best life at that point. In Wyoming, there's this popular tradition where the new graduates drive way out into the plateaus and go rock climbing. Well, I'm not actually sure if it's a tradition anywhere besides my school, but I like to think it is. It's kind of a rite of passage thing, celebrating your freedom by doing something that requires a little skill and a lot of nerve. My friends and I have been talking about it for weeks, and we finally decided to make it happen.
How do you feel about summer vacation? For me, well, I'm not in school anymore, but I always liked it, but at the same time, I got bored of it pretty quick, but just because I like to keep my mind active and not doing anything for weeks on end is kind of torture. I like to keep my mind really busy and active a lot of the time because I just get really bored pretty easily. But do you have any scary story experiences related to this summer? Let me know in the comments below because I do love hearing other people's experiences of different scary things. And, let's just keep it to talking about scary things. I don't need any critique on my commentary or any of that crap. Let's just keep it about the scary stories, all right? Because that crap is kind of getting old. People just leaving their comments on my videos of what I can do better. Like I'm just doing this for fun, honestly, because I love these types of videos. But yeah, let me know. For me specifically, I haven't really had any summer scary summer experiences, but let me know if you have.
It felt like the perfect way to kick off what I hoped would be an unforgettable summer vacation. It was me, Alexandra, Nick, and Jack. We've all been friends since middle school, and Alex was the only one with a car reliable enough to make the drive. A Jeep that she was obsessed with and jumped at any excuse to take off road. She was also the designated driver since she doesn't drink, which worked out perfectly for the rest of us who were planning to bring a few beers to celebrate once we reached the top of whatever plateau we decided to climb. Our plan was to check out the Flaming Gorge lookout first, then drive through the plateau area to find a good spot for climbing. The lookout was incredible, one of those views that makes you remember why you love living in Wyoming. After spending about an hour taking pictures and just soaking it in, we started heading back toward Route 80, taking our time and keeping an eye out for potential climbing spots. We were driving along Highway 141 when we spotted this really cool area off the side of the road. There were these massive rock formations that looked perfect for climbing. Not too technical, but challenging enough to be worth the effort. Alex pulled into a small gravel lot, and we grabbed our gear and filled our backpacks with drinks. The plateau we chose was maybe a 15-minute climb to the top. Nothing too crazy, just a steady scramble up the rock face with enough handholds and footholds to make it manageable. I have a bunch of pictures from that day, mostly because Alex insisted we get a million pictures of her, so I'll include some of them. Alex went first, since she was the most experienced climber among us, followed by me, then Nick, then Jack bringing up the rear. The view from the top was absolutely worth it. You could see for miles in every direction, just endless stretches of Wyoming wilderness. We cracked open our beers and were just sitting there enjoying the moment, talking about some of our other friends from school. I was just kind of staring into space, admiring the scenery, when I noticed a car speeding down the highway. It was a red pickup truck. To my surprise, after passing Alex's car, it screeched to a halt in the middle of the highway. I kept watching, and it actually started reversing, right there in the middle of the highway. I pointed it out to my friends, and the four of us got a little quieter, all wondering what the truck was doing. It reversed until it could turn into the lot we had parked in, which it did. We all watched as someone got out of the truck. From our distance, we could tell it was a man based on his height and build, but we couldn't make out much detail. At first, we thought maybe he was just another person looking for a place to climb or hike or just stop and rest. But then he started walking around Alex's Jeep in a way that just immediately seemed wrong. He was peering into the windows, trying the door handles, and generally inspecting the car like he was planning to break into it. That's when Nick yelled, "Hey," from the top of the plateau to announce our presence and let that guy know that the car was not unattended. We saw the guy jump a little and start looking around, clearly unsure where the voice had come from. Finally, he spotted us from atop the plateau, and he actually waved at us. That made us think it was over, that he'd probably get back in his truck, knowing that he couldn't get away with doing anything. To our surprise, though, he kept poking around Alex's car. In response to that, Jack yelled that we were armed, which I still think was a bad idea. We obviously didn't have any weapons with us, but I figured Jack thought the bluff might scare the guy off. Instead, the man looked up at us and yelled back something that made me freeze up. He said, "Me too, kiddo." Then he held something up in the air and waved it around, presumably a gun, but I couldn't tell from so far away. What happened next was like something out of a nightmare. The man started ramming his shoulder and elbow into the Jeep's windows, clearly trying to break in. We could hear the impact even from where we were sitting. Alex was furious and started screaming at him to get away from the car. The rest of us joined in, yelling and making as much noise as possible while we started scrambling down the plateau as quickly as we could safely manage. I've never climbed down anything so fast in my life. By the time we heard the sound of glass shattering, we made it to the ground and were sprinting across the lot toward the Jeep. The man saw us coming and yelled for us to stop, pointing what I can now tell was definitely a gun directly at us. We had no choice but to stop and put our hands up. The man told us to throw our phones and wallets on the grounds, which we did without hesitation. Then he ordered us to walk backward while he collected our stuff, keeping the gun trained on us the entire time. I was close enough now to get a good look at his face. He was an older white guy, maybe in his 50s, with a scraggly beard and kind of weathered features. Nothing particularly distinctive, which was frustrating because I knew it would be impossible to identify him among a group of generic-looking white men. After collecting all of our belongings, he pulled out a knife and punctured one of Alex's tires. Then he walked back to his pickup truck, which I noticed didn't have any license plates, and drove off without another word. Alex was livid, and I don't blame her. I was mostly scared from being held at gunpoint, but if I were in her shoes, I'd be furious as well. Not only had this guy robbed us and damaged our car, but we couldn't even call the police or chase after him since he'd taken our phones and disabled the Jeep. Jack and I changed the tire as fast as possible, but I'm pretty sure all of us knew there was no way we'd be able to do it quick enough. Once we were back on the road, Alex drove as fast as she could in the direction the pickup had gone, but he was long gone. We gave up soon after that. Nick knew the way back to town by heart, so we decided to just head home and figure out what to do from there. As soon as we got to Alex's house, we used her mom's phone to call the police. We gave them a description of the man and his truck, but without license plates or any other identifying information, there wasn't much they could do except keep an eye out for someone matching the description. We never heard anything back from the police, obviously, and as far as I know, the guy was never caught. It completely ruined what should have been one of the best days of our summer, and I don't think any of us felt safe going out to remote areas like that for at least a few months. I definitely didn't.
Yeah, what a crazy story, huh? And would you have run down to the guy to try to stop that? To try to stop him from breaking in and damaging the car? Because the way I see it is that, you know, a sick fuck like that is gonna do what he's gonna do anyways, right? And so why run all the way down there just to put your life in potential jeopardy? Because they clearly saw he had a gun. So why would they run all the way down there to try to stop him? That doesn't make any sense to me about the story. Would you have done the same thing? Because I feel like it would have almost been better to just stay at the top and let him finish what he's going to finish. Because if he has a gun, you know, he could have easily shot them when they were running towards them. Like, he could have easily done that. And I don't think, getting your car damaged and being robbed, that definitely sucks, but it's not worth risking your life over, right? Let me know if you agree or disagree. But yeah, I just don't think that it's worth that kind of risk, honestly, because they should have stayed up at the top. And that's honestly probably what I would have done too. It would have been really hard to watch him finish what he was going to do. But honestly, he was going to do it anyways, whether you got down there or not. But that's just my take on it. And, there's a lot of sickos in this world that'll do stuff like that, unfortunately. And that's partially why I don't like the idea of going out in remote locations, even with a group of people. But yeah, I thought this was a cool story and a creepy one. And I hope you enjoyed my commentary and the music, and I will see you in the next video.